What's poppin', y'all? Happy Saturday. It's good to see everybody on book club. I am grateful to honestly get the rest of the day going, not only by Mr. Will Smith himself, but also Mark Manson. And if you didn't get the chance to catch the recording last week, highly recommend you do. We had a great conversation, and honestly, it set the tone for the rest of the book. Um, And essentially, this week, we are covering chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6. Chapter 3 is performance. Chapter 4 is power. Chapter 5 is hope. And then chapter 6 is ignorance. But last week we covered the introduction called The Wall and Fear and Fantasy. And it was a great conversation. So I'm looking forward to discussing the 4 chapters. Obviously, we're covering a good amount each week just because it's a thick read. But it's definitely a good one. So, does anybody want to kick us off this morning?
Is he there?
You want to go, Mama?
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to see where Micah was before I said yes.
No. Okay.
um, yeah, I'm gonna go first because I'm gonna take off here in about 5 minutes. But um I did go through the first and second chapter, and I had a flood in the house, which did not allow me to get on the book club mm, last week. But I did listen, and you guys did have a fire discussion. And this book kind of made me like rethink a lot of um, like the lack of parenthood that I had. I'm Gen X, so like we literally raised ourselves. We lived with my grandma, and my grandma did the best that she could. My parents were there, but they were not there. So uh, it was it was something that nobody. I didn't have a dad to tell me, to give me discipline, to give me pointers in life, or any of that. My mom was in and out, and there was just, they did what they could with what they had and what was taught to them. And they definitely didn't have any resources. They weren't surrounded by people who gave them resources on trying to better themselves, because a lot of what I grew up on was, this is just how we are. And not to put blame on anybody. So I feel like right now I am, reading this book, makes me think of the things that I'm doing now, for my children, and asking those questions, like, do my children really, how do they think of me? Like, do they do they feel that I give them, like Will's mom, because I can relate to Will's mom. Um, but a lot of the times because I'm a woman, not because of the things that I've done as a mother. My time with my boys, and I had my time with the girls, and it was a total two different moms. But I did what my parents did for me, and a lot of the things that, the way I parented was more of a friendship type thing. I still gave, my my sternness and stuff like that, but a lot of that, really didn't. I didn't have any plans. Like, if they wanted to go to college, fine, they went to college. If they didn't want to go to college, fine, they didn't want to go to college. Like, who was I to say um, what to do when I didn't do any of that? But on chapters 3 and 4, it's talking about their performance. And this is I resonate with this, and I talk about my grandma because this is where he introduces his Gigi. And he adored and worshiped the ground that she walked on. Like she was the only one that made him feel like he was worthy enough. You know what I mean? He had his parents or whatnot, but my grandma did that for me. She did the best that she could. And I get emotional because she's gone and I miss her. But like my grandma taught me, she showed me what it was to be a devout Catholic, like to go to church, to be in church. You know, yes, she had her flaws, but that woman gave the last shirt that she had on her back. She had, she made sure everybody was fed. She made sure there was enough food. And if there wasn't, she made sure whatever we had left was going to feed all of us. Um, and she was spunky. She had so many sayings, and a lot of my house now, I feel, and I have my brother tell me, your house reminds me of mama's, because we called her mama. Like Will called his grandma Gigi. But my grandma Nena was she was heaven sent to me and my siblings because we didn't have my mom's mom. My mom's mom treated us, and God rest her soul, our relationship got better as I got older, but she was not very nice to us at all. So um we were able to get that feeling from our grandma of being wanted. And let me see, I'm kind of looking at my notes right here. He had put that he mentioned performed of purity, who makes you feel like it was beneficial. um, the trusting in God, um, that his Gigi was always happy, and that my grandma was always happy. She was a little firecracker too when you pushed her, but she definitely was something that made me want to perform better, want to do better, especially in high school. I wanted to just to make sure mm, that I had good grades, and I did. I had good grades. I did the party scene too, but I made sure that my grades were good enough for her, and a lot of the things that I did um, were just to make sure that she was proud of me, I guess. And um, see here, Will goes into talking about, this is when his parents get divorced, um, and how he was um, listed as the golden child. I haven't been called the golden child, but I have been called um, just a little big sister who has to take on a lot. And I had to take on a lot, felt the pressure, I guess. Marcus, you can probably agree and kind of coordinate with that too, because you've definitely been called the golden boy out of the family. Siblings are the ones who actually called him that. But a lot of this chapter 3 kind of resonated with me because, I've been in a divorced household. I've been divorced before. So, its cycle continues. It continues unless you choose to cut it out. But those are the main takes that I kind of got on chapter 3. Going into chapter 4. power. Mm. This is where he introduces his cousin Paul, and how definitely was not afraid of his dad. And he really he liked that about his cousin because his cousin Paul did not submit to authority, but he submitted to authority, but he wasn't disrespectful about it. And I know the way Will felt in chapters 1 and 2 about his dad, and how he felt like he was a coward, for a lot of things that he did not do. He kind of looked up to Paul, um, and how he goes into bringing in how powerful words are. Um, Will apparently got beat up really bad in this chapter, because of making somebody feel some type of way with what he had to say. And Will mentioned that he sensed for the first time that he wasn't weak, that he had his words. He knew his words had power, but he didn't want to use his words for bad. He wanted to use them for good. He wanted to. He wanted the words to affect how people view themselves, like for a positive standpoint. Words that can build people up, not tear them down. Just to empower, to help them rather than to hurt them. Um, gonna go having fun. Okay. Um,
All good, brother. Have a good orientation.
yeah, we'll talk to you later. Let's see here. So he goes. This was a very long chapter. Chapter 3 or chapter 5 was very long. I think that one was the hour one. But are you ready, babe? Okay. Um, I'm gonna take this as I go. So uh let me just get my purse. I'm sorry. Anyhow, chapter 4 to me is just power, use it, your words, the way Will decided to do it instead of, using things for against people. Okay, can I wait for you in the car? Can I wait for you in the car? Sorry, hold on. Does somebody else want to go? I'm sorry. I've got, it's loud out here and I got to get my keys.
Okay, Mom. I appreciate you sharing what you did. And I think Imani said that she's just listening in. I just saw her chat. So, Imani, if anything stands out to you and you want to speak on it, don't hey, you all good to unmute yourself whenever. But if not, it's all good too. Um, I guess it's gonna be a really short one today, and it's okay. Um, I related a lot to his grandmother in terms of how I operate as a person. He specifically said that we're in chapter 3 in performance, that everything she said, everything she did, everything she thought, it was to glorify God. And I felt like over the years, the Lord's been refining me a specific type of way, honestly, to do exactly that. And it's been a different dynamic to navigate and overall challenging as well. But I literally viewed it in the same manner where he had said that she really believed in the message of the gospel and that she saw loving and serving others not as a responsibility but as an honor. So I really feel the same. That's why like I'm constantly aiming to serve and figure out how to um really bring light to who Jesus is and how he lived in like every aspect of my life. And I feel like it's not hard to do because it's a part of me. It's hard to continuously navigate in a world that is extremely opposite of it. That makes sense. I'm trying to, because like it brought out emotions from me, because I've I've literally done what his grandmother did with that homeless woman Clara, where essentially she found Clara walking the street, and Will was saying how she was nervous to, or he was nervous and was hoping that the grandmother would just like have her walk by versus like calling her over. And then she invited her in, fed her, and bathed her. There was one time really really early on in my entrepreneurial career where I understood and I decided that I was gonna figure out how to create this life that God had called me towards. And I didn't really know what that looked like, but I just had made a decision to just figure it out and put myself out there. So it was the first time I really attempted to, like, literally the first time I literally attempted to showcase and operate in direct sales. And I've created a list. I sent out a bunch of invites, and this guy that I went to high school with, he was a senior when I was a freshman. So this is 2 years after I graduated. I'm in college and I'm living off Riverside. And I come back from an event in Orlando, and me and him are speaking with each other on Instagram. So I'm going to touch on this a lot because it really just shone light on how God has been working in my life for some time. And sometimes you really just don't see it until you reflect backwards on it. So, anyways, I told him, like, hey, I'm in Florida right now. I won't be able to come back until, or we won't be able to meet. And I'm not gonna be able to show you what it is I'm doing. I was with World Ventures at the time until I'm back in Austin. He was like, okay, no worries. I was like, all right, bet. Well, just let me know. I can come scoop. Because he was asking if that was possible. He didn't have a vehicle. I was like, all right, cool. So he sent me his address. He's in North Austin, like literally a little towards the domain. And I didn't look up the address. He just sent me the address. And when I went, I pulled up, and it was a Chapalas. And to my surprise, he hopped in. He had 2 jugs of water, a backpack. My guy smelled really bad. And I was like, whoa, what's up, bro? How are you? He was like, man, I've been better. So he did not disclose to me that he had been homeless for some time. So this is like literally my first interaction inviting somebody to hear the information of World Ventures, but it was bigger than just trying to get somebody to join a travel club. I literally decided to go after this like vision in my brain of abundance and taking care of my family and just reading how his grandmother took in this woman, fed her, bathed her. Y'all, like I could have literally told him to get out the car, and I could have gave up on my entire process at that point because I was like, is this a sign? Like, what is going on? But none of that really like crossed my brain until after the fact. Like in the moment, all I could think about was like, yo, like you're somebody that I had developed a relationship. We played basketball together. It's like somebody that I actually cared about. Even my my sophomore year while he was just getting out of high school. He would come over, chill at my dad's house. We'd play basketball in the neighborhood because he was still living with his parents the year after. So I don't know what happened, and he didn't really disclose much, but I told him, I was like, "Hey, bro, I'm gonna bring you back to the crib." And I stopped by CVS. I bought a pizza, bought him a toothbrush. I let him shower. Um, and at the time I was still smoking, so we smoked. And I literally just talked to him and I let him have a place to sleep for the evening. And I just like I made it aware to him like, hey brother, like I'm here to help for this one night. I really don't have it to continuously have you stay here. I'm in college currently and I've got to go to work. So like whenever I leave, I got to drop you off. And he understood. But now when I look back at it and seeing how Will viewed his grandmother, I also recognize that currently what I'm doing in my life, but more importantly, how I'm doing it and where my focus is at. Like it's always just been about God calling me to carry out and to obey him out of love and to love his people as he loves us, right? Because the woman had told the grandmother, she said, please stop, I don't deserve this. And Gigi grabbed both of her hands, shaking them gently, and looked into her eyes, saying, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And I didn't grab my guy's hand and tell him that, but like, and even at that time, I was in my faith, but I wasn't living by faith. But looking back, for that to be my first interaction in going after this vision and goal, I high key recognize now that God has been asking me to carry out what He wants me to do rather than what I want to do. And it's taken me a long time to get to this point, but I get a little emotional because like it's really not easy. It's it's countercultural and most people reject that type of living. Therefore they kind of reject me in that regard. He had said that his mother, his father, and his grandmother basically had three dynamics of a triangle physiologically that he would struggle with and fight through in his attention throughout the rest of his life. One was discipline, the other was education and love. And I'm like, bro, that's literally my life. Like sometimes I really don't know what God is asking me to focus on more than the other. And then I'm reminded to just take the next step in front of me and figure out how and where he wants me to go. And that's helped me um stay out of this performative mindset. And this is kind of where I'm getting at with it because I'm supposed to do these things or I want to portray myself to be a certain thing, but more so being in this authentic, genuine part of who I am, where it might look performative to people, but it's not. It's literally just something that causes an internal stirring of emotions or a process that either helps people feel loved and appreciated or helps them reflect on whether or not they're doing what it is they're supposed to be doing. And I've recognized when people reject me or try to separate themselves from me, um, or don't include me in certain things, a lot of it's not me at all. It's just their unwillingness to understand who they are or I'm a constant reminder of what it is that they could be slash could do and they just don't. So it's been it's crazy because I was just having a conversation about this yesterday. So like as I was re skimming what I had read at the beginning of the week, I was able to have a different perspective on this chapter because I recognize that I've never been performative. I've really just been authentic in how I am and who and who I'm called to be. And then I've been able to be myself. He says, I didn't have to do anything different. I didn't have to be anything different in the moment. Just as I was enough. And I was like, yo, shout out Will. I was like, yo, because sometimes I get caught up in like, yo, I'm not where I want to be, or I've been making steps, but it seems like the pressure continuously grows, or the challenges continuously arise. But the pressure is a good thing. And just like he says, I'm inherently equipped to handle any problems that may arise in my life. Hard work, education, and God would topple any of and all of those obstacles. The only variable was the level of my commitment to the fight. I'm like, quit playing. Right. He said his dad would tell him that he would rather die than quit. And it's crazy. I've literally quit one thing in my entire life, and that was baseball one year. And I hated the way I felt after. I remember my dad like chewing me out for it too. But I've never quit anything else that I put my mind to. I've always remained committed to my mindset and my word from that point on. And I know it's always came down to my level of commitment, doing what I said I was going to do long after the emotion of when I first set it in has passed. And that's helped me, again, not just feel like I'm performing something, but more so that like how I'm able to be in motion. One thing that he touched on in this chapter, he said that psychologists have written about how our relationship with our parents in childhood and early adolescence creates our map for understanding love in adulthood. When we interact with our parents as children, some behaviors and attitudes win us attention and affection, and other behaviors and attitudes cause us to feel abandoned, unsafe, and unloved. The behaviors and attitude that win us affection often come to define what we understand as love. And what's surreal about that is that like my relationship being built with Jesus has helped me redefine what that is. Because it used to be performative. And now that I know it's unconditional, I've been going about my dating life, my intention with how I treat people and how I approach myself and loving me differently now than I used to. I mean, you can ask anybody, even if I was considered the golden child, whatever, but you can ask any of my siblings or my family, and they know how hard I am on myself. Like, I used to not provide myself with the level of patience or grace that I do now because of how I would perform in my work or how I perform in school or how I perform in challenges or obstacles that I had to overcome. And I'm just grateful for that. Like literally, like I wrote that God's love showed showed me true love. And I was able to implement that in my life. And um it's made me be more selective in my dating life, not in terms of like I'm not looking just for looks or like these characteristics or boxes, but I'm really just wanting somebody that is willing to love me the way that God loves me and I love God so that I can love her in the same. And in that, I'm just being more mindful of when I see that and knowing that the map that was created from my relationship with my parents at a young age to a young adult to where I'm at now has an influence on that. And it wasn't until I developed a relationship with God that I was able to grow my development of how I understand who I am and how I should treat my wife one day. So, anyways, chapter three was really hard for me to process just because it literally uncovered a lot of where I'm at currently in my life. and how I end up going. Um, yeah, so chapter four, or Mom, I know I took over. Did you want to finish what your thought process was, or are you good? You want to wait till you get back home?
So I'm about to drop off Zach right now. If you want to go into four and then I'll finish five
Okay,
once you're done with four. Yeah. 'Cause I got to go pick up your sister. So I'll be in a little bit of a road
no worries.
travel.
Um, Let me point out. So you touched on Paul and how his cousin was kind of like a baby kid, always getting in trouble. I definitely got cousins like that too. So, and I would chill out. I would chill with them a lot when I was younger. We would do some hoodlum stuff from egging houses and cars. I was outside for real. But I thought it was cool how like his cousin kind of inspired like his love for hip hop and for music. It's really cool. As you guys know, for those who are catching the recording, I don't play any music on the recording, but I usually end out the last song before we start with a Will song because, bro, this man is extremely talented and he just operates in what he feels like he is. And I think that's like it ties back into chapter three. But I really like the fact that he said that the expression of the music allowed his creative river to be raging, and he said it was like the most natural thing in the world to him. And even though like that's not what he was known for, because he was able to continuously like try new things, eventually people were willing to hear what his creative music would produce, right? And I think that's really like something that you like just like a mental note. It's like you don't have to be limited into one lane or one industry. You can literally do what God has gifted you to do. It just might take different periods and different seasons of your life to go and do that. You just have to be open enough to figure out what that is. Let me see what else. I really when she it's really cool to see like his relationship with his grandmother. He said that there was one night that she came in to check on him and she changed out the ice pack on his head because I think he had just got in a fight. Yeah, I think where's that? Oh yeah, he said that he didn't get in a fight. He said that he was walking down the stairs from the lunchroom in the corner of her eye, sneaking up behind him. There's a dude, and there's a blue flash of sharp pain on the right side of his head, and then nothing. And then the next thing he remembers is tasting blood. And he made like a brass knuckles. That's literally crazy how he did that. And then he basically got hit by this dude, and his grandmother was coming in to change the ice pack. And once he told her the story, she didn't lecture him or scold him. She goes, if you just stop talking so much, maybe you could see some of those hits coming. And I was like, damn, it's real life. Like sometimes we just be running our mouths more than we actually could. Um, and she left him a note in it was in a hold on, I took good, but that's just really my mindset at the time would be found. Yeah, it's his rap book. And she left him a note and it said, Dear Willard, truly intelligent people do not have to use language like this to express themselves. God has blessed you with the gift of words. Be sure you are using your gifts to uplift others. Please show the world that you are as intelligent as we think you are. I was like, yo, quit playing. Um, you know me, I have a really vulgar mouth. This is something that like I've been working on for some time. But it's really like scriptural, right? Like we have the power of life and tongue, or life and death in our tongue. And on top of it, it really does say like how can salt water and fresh water come out of the same well? And essentially you're choosing. So I've been um and it's really cool because like I don't know if y'all peeped the song earlier. He talks about like I'm doing it without having to cuss, and I don't care what y'all think, but I'm still out here and people are listening to the music. The song is called Will by Joyner Lucas and Will Smith. And it's essentially like you can see the influence that his grandmother had, and how like even if the influence that you thought you would have, like you can literally impact your loved ones and your children and your grandchildren in a positive manner just by being a light of the truth. And like his grandmother did that for him. And I love that like she constantly brought God in the forefront of his mind so that he understood that it doesn't matter what you feel or what you're going through. If you recognize God has blessed you, you can use it to uplift others, not bring others down. You can use it to be there for people rather than taking care of just yourself. And she like embodied that, right? Not like I was talking about from chapter three. Um, anyways, I wanted to touch on that note. Uh, and then towards the end of this chapter, because it was a little chapter. Um, when I guess his cousin, if I remember correctly, his cousin like took his dad's Chevy van and he came back with all the windows broken. And like remind you, like they're in Philly. So it was where he was at was a hood. And his dad was like, shit happens. Excuse my language, but um he said that his daddy could see that the thing rising up in Paul had led him to being in West Philly in the first place. And he looked at his cousin and his dad said, you know how many times niggas done broke in and stole my shit? He goes, I know exactly who did it, Uncle Will. And Daddy-O goes, F them, Paul. We got too much shit to do, leave it alone. And Paul couldn't let it go. He was messing with a girl. And in that, he walked straight in the middle of the crowd, asking the guy if he touches his uncle's van. And he had broke old boy's nose. He found the guy that literally messed with the van and broke the guy's nose. And he had said that that was the last thing that he remembers of his cousin up until he's seen him 35 years later. So like it it just comes to show like the environment that you live in and the family that you're around, it really does have an effect on you. Like we can see how like, I'd be thinking about how this man Will popped up and slapped Rock like in the middle of live television. Like sometimes if you don't really heal the things that you've processed and seen, and this book came, I don't remember if this book came either before or after that. Do you remember, Mom? Or Amani, are you aware of like if the book was published before or after he slapped Chris?
Yeah, I do not know.
I think it's before.
Hmm.
I
Chris?
could look it up real quick though.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like he
Maybe he would have put it in the book.
yeah, it might be
If,
later on too if it was
yeah,
if he
if it
released it
was
after.
after.
See, I haven't even like turned through all the books yet. There's pictures and stuff in here. This is crazy.
Did you listen to the audio too and read at the
No,
same
I
time?
didn't listen to the audio, Mom.
Oh,
Yeah, I just read it. I gotta
you need
listen.
to. It's like a whole different type of vibe, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like just listen to it again and like read along with him
Yeah,
because I do like reading along with people. Um,
yeah.
okay, I'm trying. This is just obviously it's just us three and me and you are just sharing, Mom. So I'm kind of just taking my time.
No, that's okay.
But
That's
yeah,
okay.
but chapter 5 with hope. Um, let's see.
It's honestly crazy hearing how his story unfolded because as a child, I watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like
Oh,
as a teenager. Like, yeah, it was crazy. Like, just to hear the different, because when Fresh Prince came out, like, they didn't go far into like his DJ Jazzy Jeff was already like his friend, but they didn't say how they met and stuff like that. But just to
yeah,
hear all of this, yeah, it's
yeah, it's his autobiography. It's
it's
actually
pretty
really
cool.
cool that he wrote like kind of raw and uncut. I mean, from what we know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if he
Yeah,
actually covered everything, but
yeah.
it seems like he did as much as he could, or much as he remembered. Imani said that the slap was in 2022 and the book got released in 21.
Hmm.
So this book came before that. But
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can
for sure.
like I think he modeled and like we're all influenced in some way, shape, or form by our families. Right? He talked about in chapter
Yeah, for sure.
so like he just loved his people, and I think that like yes, it was a big scene and a big thing that occurred with Chris, but like dude, he was literally just like, bro, don't talk about my wife like that, and I don't care where I'm at and who you are or what we got
Yeah.
going on. I'm gonna.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
But it's real though. It's real though. And like, keep it a buck. Think about how many people wouldn't say none at all.
Hmm.
You know, like I know it's not the
You
most
want a coward then?
admirable. I know it's not the most admirable thing, but like, bro,
Yeah,
I can respect the fact that he was literally having his wife's back. And at the end of the day, maybe he could have waited till later to whoop him, but that man said, "Oh no, we ain't doing that," and I'm not him. So, I can respect it to an extent. A lot of people gave him a lot of crap for it, but I think it's also because most people will love to make a scene out of a black person. And he
yeah.
talked about his in chapter 3. He talked about the silence that came from racism and the way that he was treated differently. And how
Hmm.
he had to navigate the family at home and the black with the black community and then the community at his school, which was predominantly white. And I didn't have to deal with the same thing until I was in college. Just because I went to a predominantly Mexican and or Latin and black community school. When I was in college, I was literally a part of the minority in terms of not just color, but also socioeconomic status. Like ha 75% of the students that were there didn't have to do half the crap that I did just to keep going every
Yeah.
single week, from paying bills to navigating the day-to-day struggle. Like a lot of them were on a meal plan and mom and dad could send them bread. You know, I was grateful my mom gave me her food stamp a couple times. But I had to figure it out, and I was literally just depending on my faith and my ability to grind it out. And there were some times as I started becoming more aware. You can ask Mikhail because he's kind of made me very observant to this. Shout out to the power of awareness, but I'm a very oblivious dude. I just be so locked in and focused that sometimes I don't take in certain the facts or clues around me. And so like in college, I started becoming a little more aware of the things that I was oblivious to. And in those type of environments where majority of the population is higher socioeconomic and predominantly white, like I started noticing the people staring and looking at me in stores because of how I dressed and what I look like, even though I'm a freaking really good, well-mannered young man. People would still have these inclinations, and it was actually wild because I'm like, yo, this is I felt for the first time what I believe a lot of people, especially Black individuals in America, are constantly feeling. I took a course for a cultural diversity flag called Rethinking Blackness, and it was a predominantly uh like the student body in that class was majority colored. Maybe there was like two, three white people. And what we talked about in those classes, the books that we read and the discussions that we had, the projects that we carried out, it honestly shaped it was some of the most power like I took a lot of courses at UT and to this day it's still some of the most predominantly significant in my memory. Just because of at the end of the day, like it's really about relationships. It's really about connections and how society operates as a collective. And just seeing how Will had to navigate through that because of where he grew up and being labeled at an earlier age and having to deal with that, it made me just mindful of like to this day how it's still a prevalent thing. So, anyways, I went off a little tangent because I didn't talk about that in chapter three, but it truly is something that affects how you operate as you grow into who you're supposed to be. Um, so he talked about Jazzy Jeff back in the 80s when he was the star and he was like backing him up. He was like, I know I'm the movie star now, but back then it wasn't me, it was my guy. And some of the adventures that he
Mm,
had. What's up, mama?
I didn't say nothing.
Oh. But let's see, I think it was on page 82. He talked about the zone. He said that night with Jeff was the first time I ever tasted it, the place that athletes call the zone. It felt like we already existed as a group and we just had to catch up to ourselves. Natural, comfortable, and home. And whenever you get into that like the zone, like I'm familiar with it because of sports, but like being able to find it outside of that within serving, it's such a blessing because you're able to have the clarity to just be natural within what it is you're doing. And then because they were performing at a party and he was saying how that essentially led to them being partners, friends, and brothers, and they're still friends today. So I just like the fact that like at the end of the day, like you can literally grow into whatever you want if you just find people that are on the same wavelength and are willing to go after it with you guys. So I'm grateful for y'all. Period. Um, let's see.
Grateful for you.
Boom. And then this is like their dialogue and talking about the studio. So he brings up freaking Uncle Jimmy. Did you catch that, Mom?
Yes.
Huh? Yeah, so on page 96, he says there's a great concept from Jim Rohn. Look at the five people you spend the most time with because that's who you are. This is an idea I've always understood innately. Deep down inside, I knew that my dreams would be made or broken by the people I chose to surround myself with. Confucius had it right. It's nearly impossible for the quality of your life to be higher than the quality of your friends.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, there has never been a single moment in my life when I had looked to my left or my right and not seen an extraordinary friend, someone who believed in me and was down for whatever. Damn, I wanted to bring this up and I had wished Mikhail was here because I've had a lot of mentors in my life say one thing and I mean it and come and go. But yo, I'm really grateful for my brother. Um, I'm grateful for my brother Matt too, but when it comes to like the vision that I've had for my life and who I am as an individual, not many people have like really believed in me in the way that my brother Mikhail has. To even constantly consider and put me in front of opportunities time after time after time again. I've had a lot of people essentially like give up on my friendship or my brotherhood or my relationship. But no matter how difficult it's gone in life or how real we've had to be with each other, yo, my brother Mikhail's always been there for me. And, that's just something like that concept of by the grace of God. When I met Mikhail, my I was literally praying, y'all. I was about to give up. I didn't have anybody really seeing the same vision that I did. And I was in a toxic relationship, so I didn't really have people outside of that relationship that I was building intentionally with, until my brother Mikhail and his wife sat across from me at lunch one day. And ever since, my whole life's been different. So, brother, if you're catching the recording, I love you, man. And I appreciate you because if you find somebody that believes in you and is down for whatever that encompasses and how you're going after it, yo, you've got a blessing, truly. And I talked to my mom about this as well, and there's been times where we've literally butted heads, literally in each other's faces, yelling too. You know what I'm saying? But man, what is it really genuine or authentic if the love you have for the people around you does not incite passion or a strong feeling towards a specific topic or thing that you guys are going through? He's definitely helped me understand how to operate in more authenticity and to grow in that way as well. So quality of life depending on the quality of your people. And my guys definitely raised the bar. So I appreciate you, Mr. Steele. Drive me crazy, player, but I'm grateful for you. Okay, I'm emotional today. I'm tired of this book. I'm really tired of this book, y'all.
Let
Okay.
it flow, baby. Let it flow.
Um, okay, cool. I think it's the last thing I wanted to touch on from chapter 5. Chapter 6, the first sentence, he goes, "We didn't know shit." That's my whole life. I was like, I don't know nothing, bro, right now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know nothing about business. I don't know how to set up these things. And I think I was like, dude, that one sentence encompasses my entire entrepreneurial journey. But like the lack of knowledge never stopped me from learning and figuring it out and doing, right? And that's what I felt like has made the entire journey worthwhile because there's always something new to learn. Even in this current season of understanding trusts and estate planning and mortgages and real estate and the things that I've always wanted to get into, I never had the opportunity to learn because I had to learn other aspects of business or personal development that got me to a point where I am now prepared to be exposed to this type of info, that I'm now prepared to be exposed to how to implement it as well. So I love the fact that, Will felt the same way. He was like, yo, I didn't really know much, but we were figuring it out. He had said, where's that? Hold on, I wanted to. Uh, he talked about he said people often say ignorance is bliss. I say this all the time. I hate that statement, right? And then he goes, maybe right up until it is not. Like I firmly agree with the fact that like, dude, being ignorant is not a good thing. It's not. Like you can consider it bliss, but the reason why people have it as a stereotypical saying is so that they can be less responsible for the things that they don't know. And I feel like the more that you do find out, the more responsible and accountable you need to be. And therefore, most people don't want that type of actual growth. But I agree with him. He says we punish ourselves for not knowing, and we always complain about what we could and should have done and how much of a mistake it was that we did that thing and that unforgivable thing. We beat on ourselves for being so stupid, regretting our choices and lamenting the horrible decisions we make. But here's the reality. That's what life is. Living is the journey from not knowing to knowing, from not understanding to understanding, from confusion to clarity. By universal design, you are born into a perplexing situation, bewildered, and you have one job as a human. Figure that shit out. I was like, yo, that's one thing about me. Like I won't have it all together, nor would I understand what it's gonna look like, but I will take it step by step and I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna ask the questions I need to ask. I'm gonna do the things that I need to do. And then along the way, I'm gonna learn, right? And sometimes people feel like they need it all together to take that first step, but at the end of the day, you just got to take the first step. And then teacher or experience is the greatest teacher. Like you'll learn as you go. Um, and if that's something that is innate in me and is literally something that everybody that has hit certain levels of success and milestones have been able to implement in their life. Like I know God has me for a greater purpose because I'm able like he has this built-in resiliency in my DNA that just refuses to just not figure it out. Like I'll be living on my mom's couch for 10 months, not knowing how I'm gonna get out of there and figure out how to get a vehicle. I really do be thinking about that week where we had to turn in the car. And in the beginning of the week, I had no idea how I'm going to get in the car. And by Friday, I was driving off the lot with a vehicle.
Mhm.
And it's just a faith like, all right, we're going to let God do his thing and we'll figure it out as we go. Period, point blank. He goes, life is learning, period. Overcoming ignorance is the whole point. You're not supposed to know at the beginning. The whole point of venturing into uncertainty is to bring light to the darkness of our ignorance. I heard a great saying once, life is like school with one key difference. In school, you get the lesson and then you take the test. But in life, you get the test and it's your job to take the lesson. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that part because unless you decide to learn the lesson that comes with the test, you're still going to receive the same test. And just because Jim Rohn was brought up, it made me think of that again like, yo, I already signed up for that class. I don't want to take that test again. Like I found out and I'm not gonna not apply the lesson that was came with that challenge, with that problem, with that uncertain situation. Uh and I'm just grateful for that. Period point blank. Anyways, there's so much to cover, but regardless, that's what I got and the biggest thing from chapter 5. Or no, yeah, chapter 6 from ignorance. Like ignorance is not bliss. Figure that shit out. We got this. And if you can take the test as it is and then find the lesson within it, as long as you learn the lesson and apply what you've learned, you will overcome the test because it'll continuously test you until you decide to learn the lesson. You see it all throughout the Bible. What did God do with the Israelites for 40 years? He kept them in the wilderness. He really did. Hey, move that cup, girl. Yeah. You gonna block my mama. That's crazy. Anyways. But yeah, I'll shut up now. I literally spoke for like 40 minutes. But I was trying to make it worthwhile because I know Monty's not gonna speak today and Ma, you were driving, so but if
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
you have any last thoughts.
I do. There's a lot of things that you touched on that I wrote down. And it's crazy. It's crazy because on here, like I wrote so many notes. I wrote so many notes And on chapter 5, it's talking about hope, right? Um, but this is where Will finally got his hope that he really wanted to become a rapper. Like this is what he wanted to do for his life. He talks about when he went to New York to do this party when they all got together and they felt like they were a group. You know what I'm saying? But like as when they ended up winning, they he made it seem like that gave him more what do you call that? Like more confidence in that, like that's what he wanted to do, like that he made his mind up. He knew that he wasn't going. He said once he left New York, he knew that he was not going to go to college. He says that hip hop um, presented him far outstretched anything he had hoped for. His whole life, his parents hoped for him had been predicted on education and hard work. He was supposed to go to college, get a job. He was supposed to move up in the world. Um, girl,
Sorry.
he was supposed to move up in the world. And as the golden child, he wanted to live up to his parents' dreams, of course. Um, but he said that he was struck with a conviction that after leaving New York, that he wasn't going to go to college. This is where he signed his first contract, which it's funny because he didn't he didn't even read the damn contract. As it says later in the story,
Hey, I'm just happy that you got one.
yeah, that he didn't even finish the contract, but like the contract didn't even uplift because he was still 17 years old when he signed that contract. Um, and the guy who he signed the contract with, his name was Dana, didn't really have their best interest at heart, like low key, like he was he was using them. You know what I mean? And the guy who he ended up hiring as their manager, his name was James Lather. They called him JL.
Yeah.
He, he, on the other hand, did have like, he literally wanted the best for them. Um, so you can have, and that just makes it, even in my age, my 47 years, you still have people that you need to be aware of, especially when you're going towards something towards your future. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people who have your best interest at heart and there's people that just don't, regardless of where you are in your life.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that, of course, his mom was really mad, really upset that he chose the rapping lifestyle versus doing what she had fought so hard. She lived through all the beatings with his dad.
Yeah.
So that way her kids can go to college. You know what I'm saying? But his dad, I don't know if you guys read or remember them saying, and I think it was chapter 2, where his dad had his hope of being a photographer, but had that stripped away because that was just something that he had hoped for. Nothing that his parents thought would actually make him become something. So you either had to own something, work for somebody, but they compromised and they gave Will a year to go for his passion, for what he wanted and not for what they hoped for. Um, and he ended up he ended up having his first song on the radio at age 17. He was still senior in high school,
Yeah.
which was cool. But I don't know. It Don't lose hope is what even at wherever you're at with in your life, keep your hopes alive, keep your fantasies going, um, and don't let anybody tell you different.
Yeah. I
Uh,
the he had said that his mom was like giving him advice that to her was not advice, it was her truth.
yeah, yeah,
And he was like, but the thing is that she had her truth and I had my truth. And what's
yeah,
wild is like, and I say this all the time, you can be living your truth, but is it the truth? Right?
yeah,
Sometimes people like most people will love the most people will love the perception of what reality is over what actual reality is, and that perception of reality will be more real to them than what the reality is actually in front of them. And we do this psychologically as like a coping mechanism. But I feel like whenever you remove that veil and you go after what it is that's in front of you, and like he said, it was conviction, right? Like he knew deep down, he's like, I'm called to go this route, even though like he's still doing music to this day. Like there are some bangers that I'd be jamming out to,
yeah.
right? But as we know, shortly after the short-lived beginning of his music career, he got into everything within acting in movies. And then
Hmm.
he was able to circle back around. So like I
Yeah.
think that conviction of, hey, you need to do this right now, essentially led to everything that plays out. And I feel like you can model that in your faith and what you got going on. Like if you are convicted in something and you know God is asking you to do something, then you've got to have the hope enough to, hey, if I take this step, right, I can go and have that new life. Because at the very end of the chapter, he says, I couldn't stop laughing. It was a joyful, blissful laughter, the pure joy of a child waking up on Christmas morning, the joy of discovery, of renewed hope, of a new life, the joy of being right about me. And only reason why I want to touch on that is because, yeah, I remember the first time me and Mikhail sold a marketing package to a Airbnb guy, and he had like five different articles written about himself. And I remember sitting there like extremely excited and joyful. And I was like, yo, this is it. Like, we're here. But I realize now that I was more joyful about the fact that the years ago when God told me to take those steps, like it was in the right direction because even though our marketing agency isn't where we wanted to be currently, we've everything has led to where we're at today. And it's really just having that convictional decision to be like, yo, I'm gonna do this thing because I feel like God is asking me to. And I have restored hope when you start seeing those signs of like, yeah, I'm here. You're on the right path, you know? So
Okay. So into chapter 6, which is the ignorance. Um, this is where Will starts to feel like he is in charge of his life. You know what I'm saying? He's going on his first big tour, um and I wrote down the same thing that you just said about ignorance is bliss. Maybe, but right until it is not.
yeah.
um we of course punish ourselves for not knowing. We always complain about what we could or should have done, or what mistake it was that we have done, that unforgiving thing. But he puts here, that's what life is. Living is the journey of not knowing to knowing. We have one job as a human, and that's to figure this stuff out. Life is learning. Universe only teaches through experience. Um,
You're frozen, Mom.
this right here. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, can you hear me? Sorry, everybody's trying to call me right now. But this in chapter 6, he can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. He goes into saying how that the guy who he signed that contract with, Dana, that Russell Simmons, everybody knows Def Jam Records, right? He was trying to get in touch with uh with Dana so that way he could talk to Will and DJ Jazzy Jeff. And that's when he ended up realizing and understanding that he was not for him. Like he didn't have their best interest at heart. But he wrote down here that Will actually kind of got like harassed by him. Like he literally wanted to harm Will because they ended up firing him and not going with him. Is of course Daddy-O came in and told him, kind of threatened him, telling him, "Come on in if you want to kill my son. He's right inside. You're gonna have to go through all of us."
Yeah. You know
And
that
his
that
father
remind me
told
of
him,
that
"You're
remind me
better
of
to die
Zach.
than to walk around scared."
That
You know what
reminded
I'm
me of
saying?
Zach.
So what's that?
That reminded me of Chef
Hold on.
Yak. Can you hear me, Mom?
Say that again.
I
I
said
can hear you now. Yes.
it reminded me of Chef Yak.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of that that reminded me too of Zach. He just, I loved that Zach was there to teach you guys not how to be scared and to stand up for yourselves.
Yeah,
Because he definitely did that.
definitely did. No, it's real life. I be giving him
Mhm.
props on that too, even though I fight him. Like what's crazy too is like I remember being scared of Zach, but like his lessons, there have been times where me and him have gotten into it,
Mhm.
and it's been
Mhm.
not because he taught me to do that,
Yep.
but in a respectful way.
In a respectful way.
Yeah.
I so far this book is good. I really like it. It's definitely, like I told you, when I listened to the recording for chapter 1 and 2, really is bringing up some things that I didn't know I was not healed from, you know. But being at a place where my faith is now, I know, that maybe this is time for healing,
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's where it's at too. Like, because you can tell, like, as he's writing and telling his story, he's also reflecting
Yeah.
what played out and how it played out, and it's causing me to do the same,
Did you buy me a Dr. Pepper?
which has been kind of surreal to process and go through. Because I'm at a unique season in my life, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Thank
feel
you.
it 100%. You too, Mom. Like you're going through a whole lot of changes as well.
I am.
It's been powerful, and I'm glad that you're on the call giving value from what you got. Amani, do you want to share anything at all? Or are you okay, sis? It's all good if you don't want to.
See my card, Papa. Forgot.
Give it together.
You guys' takes on the homeless people was actually really cool because like homeboy was homeless and like the grandma, because it's like really kind of sometimes a little scary to just kind of take some stranger into your home and clean them up, because you just never know. Some people on the streets be having psychosis, schizophrenia, and it's like, and it can get a little terrifying. But the fact that you guys like had these situations with these homeless people and, decided to make an impact rather than, um, how do you say, like, not avoid them, but like ignore it, I guess, was amazing. Then, the other thing that I wanted to touch on was you. Oh my God, hold on, y'all. I worked really late last night. Um, it's in there. Okay. Okay, well, it's gone. And that's okay. But I did appreciate the takes today. Oh my God, this is gonna bother me. Watch. Okay, next. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. Don't judge me, y'all. Don't judge me. It's crazy.
No judgment. There's no
Oh,
judgment.
there it is. It came back. Yes. Ignorance is bliss. Yes. Oh my God. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a firm believer in ignorance is bliss. But then the whole up until it's not is it's a difficult thing to come to terms with. I won't even lie. Like there's moments where I'm happy not knowing the full story and just living in my bubble until I go down the wrong rabbit hole and then it's done. It's done for me. I don't have that that bubble of shelter anymore, but it's a facade. It's not real. It's just something that keeps people docile in a way, like where it's just like there's no call to action because
Yeah.
there's no knowledge to be called to action. So it's unfortunate, but I know Marcus, you said you don't like that phrase. I get it. My friend always like tells me that I'm crazy because he's like, you always do this when something comes up. And then I'm like, just leave me alone for right now. And then maybe a few months later, maybe even a year later, I come back and I'm like, well, that's over. It's real.
Man.
What song did Will come out when he was 17? Do y'all know what song it was? Because I don't know.
Written down. It's girls ain't nothing but trouble.
Oh my God. Oh, that's so cool. I
Literally.
did not know he made that when he was like in high school. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
He was a
Okay.
senior in high school. He was 17 years old. That's crazy.
That's so crazy. Because I don't know. I always saw like once I saw Fresh Prince that, that was really the true beginning of his career, which I mean, you could say definitely that was what skyrocketed his career for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But
Then
I didn't know that that song had came out when he was so young because he had already made like some songs before that and a lot after too. Actually, I think during. But yeah, that's really I did enjoy your takes today, both of you guys, mama and son, the duo of the book club today. That was cool. So yeah, that's really it, y'all. My brain is still trying to turn on.
it's all good. I'm really, Mom, where'd you see the name of the song? Or you just know that off the top of the dome?
I don't know that off the top of my dome. I wrote it down. Um, it was
Right, don't
in
do her
it,
like that.
No,
it was
that
in
was
chapter
this.
6.
No, it's chapter 5. It said the second song was "Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble."
Okay, hold on.
Hold on.
I wrote it. Hold on.
Oh, it's just the first was called "Just One of Those Days," where I rapped about having one of those days where everything goes wrong, putting it on the Ritz.
Okay, chapter 5. Yeah, chapter 5 shows that he recorded his first album.
Yeah, the second song was "Girls
Okay,
Ain't."
yeah. Okay, so that's his second song.
Or
Sorry, Imani, I gave you the wrong info.
Studio 4. That's where he
It's okay. It's all right. That was the second song, but I do remember that song for sure. So that's actually pretty cool that he
That's before your time,
well,
Imani.
yeah, I
I'm just kidding.
swear.
You
I
say the
work
former?
early next week, so I'll be good.
Nah, all good. Okay, maybe it was, Mom. You're right. You were right. I was wrong. I'm okay to admit that. It said that the phones have been off the hook all day from y'all wanting to hear these guys. So get ready for the hometown boys, Philly's very own DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. This is Girls Ain't Nothing But. He said, this is why he was like cheesing though. He said, listen, homeboys, don't mean to burst your bubble, but girls of the world ain't none but trouble. Ooh! Bars.
Nah. Bars. That song was straight bar. I remember seeing that music video when I was young because Fresh Prince was so like popular, you know. I
Yeah,
think I
yeah.
don't know if he ever featured that in the show, like like during commercial or something like that. Because I feel like I remember seeing that at one point.
Look, look, look. Oh, like, that's so funny. Hold on. Just a little throw us out. All right, y'all. Have a good Saturday. I love y'all. Oh, next week, I'm gonna put that on the story. Don't want to burst your bubble, y'all. Just understand y'all are trouble. Okay. Next week, chapter
What is the
7, 8, 9, and 10. I repeat, it's chapter 7, 8, 9, and 10.
okay, Marcus? What did you say about girls?
They're
They're
poison,
poison.
mom.
Oh my god! Oh
She
my
did not want Marcus to
god!
be with anybody.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, my used to say that all the time though.
All right,
All
y'all.
right,
Have a
love
happy
you.
Saturday.
I love y'all. Have a good
Bye.
one. Bye.